Cat What If. Today we're going to be doing what if female Deku had Wraiths abilities. She's going to start out as when she's first born, still having the same little green hair and just being a name change, Izuna. This is what the people have given. We're going to do an immediate time skip to the age of 4 when quirks are manifesting. While Bakugo, still having explosions and being ignorant as heck, still, you gotta have some respect for the man. He's a little bit prideful. Her quirk hasn't manifested yet. Then, when we're gonna skip a little bit to the bullying incident with as soon as the bullying starts, Izuna gets in front of Bakugo and says her little quote, "If you don't stop, I'll never forgive you." After that, Bakugo and his lackeys go to attack her. Right as that happens, sorry, right as that happens, her quirk finally manifests. And if you can guess, it'll be the little where she disappears and reappears. And see, when she does this, and everyone's a little bit shocked, and then when she reappears, everyone all of a sudden notices, wait, everything phased through her. Does that mean she has a type of ghost quirk? Then, the next day, they go to get the quirk evaluated. And since she doesn't know all the abilities yet, she can't use them yet. She can only disappear, move around, and then reappear. She cannot see any living thing or interact with anything. The only thing she can do is bring her clothes with her, or whatever she has on her. And she'll have her little particle effects come off of her. They say it's a disappearing and reappearing quirk, without going any more further into detail. Then, later, we're going to do a quick time skip, when they're 14. By the way, I'm going to be doing the same thing as in the canon version, where high school is, the UA. So, hold on, I'm going to really quickly turn up there we go. Then we're going to move on to the villain attack with Mount Lady and Kamui Woods. As Izuna, still being a nerd and writing everything down, she then asks, "Is this which hero is this? I've never seen this hero before." And one of them says it's Mountain Lady's debut. So that incident happens in canon. When they get into school, this is where it changes up a little bit. Because the teacher, still throwing all the papers in the air while everyone uses their quirks and tries to calm them down. And Bakugo gives his little speech, and the teacher says, "Oh yeah, Bakugo, you're going to UA, aren't you?" And Bakugo, continuing to be prideful, says, "Of course, unlike any of these losers that don't have a chance of getting in." Then, afterwards, Izuna steps in, saying, "Just because you have the flashiest quirk doesn't mean that you're the strongest, because other people could still beat you without even having to move an inch because of your ignorance." In this what if, Izuna will be a lot more pushy from Bakugo's influence on her. And the teacher will say, "Oh yeah, you were also going to UA, Izuna." As she says yes, and she sits back down. And afterwards, after class, Bakugo goes up to Izuna and says, "You're not better than me just because you can avoid my attacks." Izuna says, "I didn't say I was better. I was just stating the facts." since she's so much more pushy, it puts Bakugo on edge, and then reluctantly says, "Do you want to go to the arcade with them?" Yuzuna says, "Sorry, but I have some studying to catch up on." So that happens, and the same thing that happens in canon happens again, where they have the sludge villain. Except this time, Izuna just disappears, like, what the heck, how is this possible? As the villain is looking around confused, Izuna is already around 100 feet away, saying, "Hey-oh, look who's over here." And the sludge villain is visibly shocked. Does she have a teleport quirk? No. And then he remembers hearing footsteps. And then he hears the little cap of the whatchamacallit, sewage drain break open as All Might does his famous Detoroid smash and puts the villain to pieces, basically. Izuna grabs onto his leg. Same thing happens in canon, except this one thing. Izuna doesn't pass out, so yeah, that happens. When Izuna grabs onto his leg because she still has questions, the same thing happens in canon. Well, if Izuna being very shocked and All Might going to his Small Might form, and except this time, Izuna has confidence because All Might says, "Yes, you can become a hero. You just have to train a lot harder than you think with your quirk." If I didn't say that she did tell him what her quirk was. Later, the sludge villain incident with Bakugo happens. She does the same thing in canon, except since she has a quirk, she instead, when she throws her book bag afterwards, she disappears, and since she can't interact with anything, she has to reappear and tries to get Bakugo out of the sludge. Well, that doesn't work. And then All Might saves them. Izuna's very strictly scolded and all that. Then, afterwards, when she's walking home, she hears the quote, "I am here." Then, when she goes to look up, or turn around, looks up, and sees All Might. And as she's so surprised, and then All Might going to his Small Might form, coughing up blood, and then same thing happens in the canon. He explains his quirk, and Izuna gladly accepts. The next day, when they're at the Deku beach, since she had a quirk and had more confidence, she trained her body a little bit, but not only a little bit. So after the training, she'll be able to handle 6%. But anyway, afterwards, she goes to Deku Beach. Then, afterwards, when she gets there, she begins the training. Unlike in canon, where she changes up the schedule, she instead keeps the schedule, not working her body as hard, making her body not looking too muscular, but keeping it around there. So, yeah. Then she receives the quirk in a slightly less time because she had trained before, gaining one for all. She got an entire week to test it out. So, Recovery Girl was there. Then, when she tried to activate it, she couldn't. Because there was one thing. One for All had, instead of bonding with her body, binded with her quirk, if you can see what I'm trying to say here. she can now use every one of Wraith's abilities, meaning now when she goes invisible, she can go invisible for twice as long instead of just for 4 seconds. Now for 8 seconds, and she can see all living things, except she still can't interact with other things. Then she has her little portal that she can do. She also can hear the voices, though not as, you know, like, it's not uncontrollable like how Wraith has it. And yeah, I think I should edit it off right here. So anyway, yeah, so she has one for all, except it doesn't work as a strength augmentation. It only works for her quirk, boosting it incredibly. And there'll be extra parts of it that will soon pop up. I still haven't figured out what I want to go with the story yet, so this is just a start, and comment what other what ifs you want me to do, and